Hi, I'm David Heron, Green Transportation Examiner, Green Transportation Guy, and I'm just starting a project in my garage, which is why I've got this scooter with all its guts hanging out. So, uh, and looking at setting up the project, I thought, oh, maybe this would be something to share, to show some of the internals of how an electric vehicle is put together, so that for education purposes, and so that everybody can have a better clue of what's going on. So what I have here is a Vego 600 SX scooter. It's highly modified, but the Vego SX, the Vego 600 SX was sold in about 2005-ish, 2006-ish, many years ago. But even though it was an excellently built scooter, the company that made these basically couldn't compete against the cheap Chinese scooters. And I got this scooter frame secondhand, and when I received it, it was a bare frame. So I originally set it up in a different way than it normally was. For instance, this fine diamond plate here is not stock. The stock Vego 600 had all this plastic on here, and I didn't like the plastic. I find this diamond plate to actually be much more useful. And I also added these tail lights and headlights, which these are just normal LED headlights that you can get at auto parts stores. So what I have is an empty battery box, some wiring, that's a controller down here, and I'm going to be installing new batteries because this scooter has been sitting idle for a couple years. I haven't used it. The batteries went dead, so I'm going to clean it up, put in a fresh battery pack, and then sell it. But in the process, I think I'll produce a set of videos going over it. So if we just start with some things, that's the motor. Okay, so if we back out and give you a little bit of context, that's the whole scooter. The motor is sitting back here. It's got a belt drive that goes to the rear wheel. And then the next basic item is this controller. This controller sits between the battery pack and the motor to gauge how much power is going to go to the motor. And then up here, that's a throttle that's on the handlebars. And this is the user input that tells the controller how much power to put to the motor. So that's the basics of an electric vehicle system, and we'll be going over this in more detail in future videos. I guess an overview of the parts I'll be using. I'll be using this thing to provide the main battery bus, the 36 volts. There's going to be 3 batteries in here, so it'll be 3 lead-acid batteries. They're 12 volts each, so it'll be a 36 volt system, and they'll connect right here. And then all of the wiring will be connected to these screws here. And then I've got a switch down here that is used for turning the lights on and off. And then there's a charging port on the other sides to hook in a charger. If I remember correctly, I set up these rear lights so that these at the top would activate when the brakes are activated, and this one down here would be always on. So this means this scooter, if I remember correctly, this scooter will be able to have taillights that turn on and off as you use the brakes, which I think that would be a cool feature. Otherwise, the wheels are just normal 12-inch scooter wheels. It's yeah, so in future videos I'll be going over the steps of the conversion and be doing quite a bit with this. It should take several videos to go through this process. So again, I'm David Heron, green transportation guy. You can follow me at longtailpipe.com, where I have a blog, viasforvoltage.org, where there's a community of thousands of people. And okay, thank you, and stay tuned.